Welcome to Good Works WNC. I'm Michael Trufant. We're here at Living Savior Lutheran Church in Asheville, North Carolina. This segment is sponsored by our good friends at Moore Funeral Home at Forest Lawn. And with us is John Massey, the Executive Director of the Veterans Healing Farm. Glad you're here today.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
So, can you tell me about the Veterans Healing Farm and what led you to start this organization?
Sure. So the Veterans Healing Farm is a small nonprofit community farm located in Hendersonville, North Carolina. Our tagline is cultivating life through community, and the concept behind kind of the essence of what we do is really try to create an environment in which is welcoming, in which really creates a safe space for people to be transparent, to be authentic. A large part of why I started it, it's interesting, my first date with my wife back in 2007, I told her about this vision, and at the time I didn't know how to grow a tomato, so I had a lot of work to do, but we started 3 years ago, and at this point we've made a lot of progress. And the concept behind it was, when I was a kid, there were block parties, there were all sorts of things to do as a community, but these days it's easy to be alienated, to be isolated, and so I wanted to create an environment which used farming, used horticulture, used these very kind of basic principles, things that are really essential to being a human. We all need sunshine, we all need to eat good food, but to provide them in such a way in which we're a tool to really bring people together.
So what goes on at the farm? What sort of services do you all offer?
So we have a couple different services. One is our micro community. We have about 40 families involved in that particular program. It's intentionally kept small. The idea is we don't want people to slip through the cracks. We want it to be a place of true intimacy. If somebody asks how you're doing, they actually care to know the answer to the question. If somebody stops showing up, people notice and pick up the phone and give them a call. And so that's our micro community. Now our goal is to take that model and to begin replicating it throughout the country. In addition to that, we have partnered with some other different nonprofits. One is a horse therapy program. So they do equine-assisted psychotherapy, and it's Horse Sense of the Carolinas, and we act as a satellite location. So they bring the horses to our property, and we provide veterans in the area with opportunity to experience that therapeutic service. In addition to that, we have a garden. So we have multiple gardens. One is for our micro community, and another is for specifically for donation purposes. So we have a 1 acre garden in which is 380-foot rows. The rows are covered in colored agricultural plastic. There's 13 of them, and they go red, white, red, white, red, white. And then there's 80-foot sections, which is blue for the Union. So it's a 1 acre American flag. You can see it from an airplane. And all the food we grow in that garden, we take to the VA hospital. This past summer, we set up tables every Tuesday morning from 8 to 10 and passed out over 8,000 pounds of produce in a 13-week period of time.
Wow. Wow, how important. So tell me about people who come and experience it there. What's it like? What do they feel? What kind of feedback do they give you about the experiences they have?
So there's multiple experiences, I think. I mean, for some folks, just being in nature, just having a place to go, to be quiet, to have an activity that they can engage in and just really process through experiences. Other people, the opportunity to share their story, to just engage in conversation, real, true interpersonal relationships. That's extremely beneficial. I think, depending on what specific service we're talking about, for the VA hospital, for example, it's something unlike anything that I've seen. I mean, I knew it was going to be cool, but to the degree in which the impact that actually has occurred, once I engaged in it, I realized how special it was. And it's so much different than just creating, a food pantry. Food pantries do awesome services, but most of them, they are offering food that's filled with preservatives. If they have access to fresh produce, it's typically seconds and thirds that are maybe a couple weeks past ripe date. We're growing the highest quality produce possible, and we're picking it the day before or the day of actually handing it to the individual. And when we hand it to the individual, unfortunately, in our culture, there's a stigma attached to needing things. And when you go into a food pantry, there's a bit of a shame associated with the person receiving. Whereas in our situation, when we hand this food to these individuals, we do it in such a way in which this is not a shame. This is a way for us to honor, to respect, to show them that we truly care about them, and that what they've done with, in the service of their country means something, and it hasn't been forgotten.
That must be a real space of gratefulness from them.
Absolutely. I mean, again, I knew it was going to be cool, but to see, a military man weeping is something in which I think indicates it's absolutely doing something real.
What contribution do you think you're making in this project?
Again, I mean, I think because there's so many different things happening in different individuals. I mean, for me, it's more than anything else. I feel as if I'm operating in the giftings that God has given me. This is something in which it's clear. The passion has been there for a very long time. The skills and the resources needed to go forward with it, I feel like it's almost been Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. So many years have been spent building these skills. But at this point, as I engage, I just feel it's almost like breathing. I'm just doing what comes very natural to me.
So what's going forward? What are the plans for the farm in 2017?
So 2017 is going to be very exciting. We have acquired a series of facilities. So we have a 40-foot shipping container and we have a 20-foot shipping container. The 40-foot shipping container has been retrofitted into a disaster relief unit. It was originally designed as a disaster relief unit to sell to FEMA. So it's got 8 bunk beds, it's got a bathroom facility, it's all state-of-the-art. The 20-footer is retrofitted into a kitchen. And starting Veterans Day, we began, which was 3 days ago, we began the construction, the final phase of construction for the facility. And it's both containers have been lifted 5 feet high, and we're building a deck in which is 35 foot wide by 75 foot long. So it's approximately 2,400 square feet. And the idea is that we'll be able to host 8 veterans at a time. They'll come out for a week at a time, and we will put them through a training program. And these people will come for a week-long crash course in the different horticulture practices that we do, with the goal for them to acquire the skills needed to replicate.
Wow, what a quantum leap. I mean, that's a huge, huge step up.
It is the most exciting thing with that, because the fact that we can service, 8, 10, 12 people at a time is phenomenal. However, the costs associated with it, we're trying to do this free of charge for these individuals. And the idea is that, although that would be enough, I mean, for me, I've always said, if I can help one individual not take his life, that's enough. If that's the sole, total sum of my life, that's a life well lived. However, there is a very large epidemic happening right now, and in terms of the need, it's substantial. And so fortunately, we live in a day and age where the technological advancements are really something else. And so the goal is, while we're hosting these boot camps, these workshops, everything will be live streamed. It'll be available to all veterans throughout the country. If you think in 5 years from now, they'll probably have virtual reality headsets, and it'll be as if they're there. And the goal is for those workshops to be captured on video, to be placed on a website, and to be available free of charge to any veteran in the country.
Wow, how incredible. So how could people support you?
So right now, actually building the facility, we had a crowdfunding campaign last year, and it was funded. People got behind it, and they gave me an opportunity to take something that was a really grandiose vision and have the opportunity to bring it into existence. And this go around, almost a year from that date, it's going to be complete. And now, in terms of bringing these veterans out and making it free of charge for them, it's about $1,500 per veteran for us to pull off these boot camps, and it's approximately $15,000 per boot camp. And so at this point, for me, up until now, money is always something I hesitate to ask for. That it's uncomfortable running a nonprofit.
But there's a mission.
There's a mission. What I've learned is that when it comes down to it, bootstrapping, really doing things in such a way in which are very efficient, effective, that's the essence of everything I do. However, in terms of at this point forward, it really is, finances is what is primarily needed. There's always opportunities for volunteers. There's always opportunities or, needs for lots of different things like garden tools or beekeeping equipment or chicken tractors. I mean, we have a laundry list of those sorts of things. But in terms of the next kind of big thing that we're moving into, I would say the boot camps are going to be it.
I know it's an incredible learning for those who participate and those who support that. So, there really is that sort of going out there. So if someone in the community wanted to get involved, they wanted to help, they wanted to give something, how do they find you?
Well, first place is probably our website. It's veteranshealingfarm.com or veteranshealingfarm.org. And then also on Facebook, we have an active Facebook page and Instagram, so social networking as well.
Well, I like your technology, but I like that it's back to the earth and back to the farm. John, thank you for being here. An incredible project. Look forward to seeing that grow and moving on. Again, thank you, John. Thank you to Moore Funeral Home at Forest Lawn, our wonderful sponsor. We're here at Living Savior Lutheran Church here in Asheville, North Carolina, and Good Works WNC is brought to you by Crunch Media. Thank you.